They didn't come to conquer. They came for gold. A small group of foreigners arrived on the edges of Oyo land. They claimed they were treasure hunters. They said they had found signs of something buried deep, a treasure hidden long before even the old kings ruled. But the treasure was on sacred land, land only the king could give access to. And at that time, the king was Ajaka. Ajaka was not just a ruler. He was sharp, always watching. Nothing happened in his kingdom without him knowing. The foreigners knew they couldn't take the treasure by force, so they made a deal. If Ajaka allowed them to dig, they would give him a share. But Ajaka had other plans. Once the digging was done and the treasure found, gold, ivory, rare stones, they never made it out of the village. They were all murdered. Ajaka gave the order. No one knows how. Some say they were poisoned. Others say they were buried in the same pit where the treasure was found. Either way, none of them were ever seen again. And anyone in the village who questioned Ajaka's actions, he silenced them too. After that, the king's wealth exploded. Ajaka became the richest man the land had ever seen. He rebuilt his palace in shining stone. His robes sparkled with foreign jewels. He threw great feasts, hosted visiting chiefs, and ruled with absolute power. But Ajaka had one weakness: he didn't trust anyone. He feared betrayal more than death. And that fear would drive him to build something the world still hasn't found. In the late 1700s, the Oyo Empire stood as one of West Africa's dominant powers, rich in trade, feared in war, and bound by deep spiritual traditions. While the names of kings like Abiodun and Alafin Majaku are recorded in surviving scrolls, there is one name passed down only in whispers: Ajaka II. Little is known of him outside oral records. Some say he was the brother of a crowned Alafin. Others insist he was a usurper who ruled only briefly from the shadows. But every version agrees on one thing: Ajaka feared betrayal more than death. As European traders brought firearms and foreign ambition to the coast, internal factions within the empire grew restless. Chiefs once loyal began shifting their allegiances. Ajaka, sensing danger, began quietly preparing his legacy. Instead of trusting his wealth to the royal treasury, Ajaka chose a different path. He ordered a hidden chamber to be built, not beneath his palace, but within the sacred grove of Ajakan, a place feared even by warriors. It was said no drumbeat echoed there. The land was silent, and silence in Oyo tradition meant the spirits were listening. But Ajaka knew secrecy alone wasn't enough. He summoned a society known only as the Odi. No records mentioned their origin. They left no symbols, carried no flags. Some believe they were chosen from childhood, raised in silence, trained in obedience. Their faces were never seen, their names never spoken. Not even the palace scribes knew who they were. Once the treasure was hidden, a vast collection of gold, ivory, foreign jewels, and sacred relics. It is said Ajaka burned the map and passed the location through a single riddle, spoken only once, during a lunar eclipse. In the dry season of 1791, a coup attempt shook the empire. Soldiers stormed the palace, but Ajaka had already vanished. His chambers were undisturbed. His ceremonial robes lay neatly folded. A guard claimed he saw the king walking into the grove at dawn. He was never seen again. So too, the Odi vanished. A new Alafin was crowned, and Ajaka's name was struck from memory by decree. But some elders, even today, refuse to step into the grove. They say the land does not welcome footsteps, and the wind still carries the echo of drums that never sounded. In 1864, British missionary Dr. Charles Marrow reported seeing strange stonework beneath the earth. During a mission near Ajaka, his letter to the London African Society was censored. Later, he was reassigned to Sierra Leone and never spoke of it again. In 1902, a surveyor's assistant claimed to find patterns in the soil where nothing grew. His report mentioned dull echoes and a broken compass. He drowned 2 days later in a dry creek. Local griots kept the tale alive through riddles and songs. One such line, translated in 1911, reads, "He who seeks the king's gold must listen where silence breaks the drum." In 1923, French explorer Henri Louvier, already famous for his travels through Mali, led a discreet 5-man expedition into the Oyo interior. His only known source, a Yoruba elder who claimed to be descended from a servant of the palace in 1791. The team arrived in July. Locals refused to assist. One night, 3 days into the grove, Louvier scribbled the following into his journal. "The trees do not sway here. The insects don't chirp. The air stands still. The drums we brought stopped making sound. No echo. I think we're close." That was the last entry. Weeks later, the body of one guide was found on the edge of a nearby village. His eyes open wide and his lips sewn shut with bark thread. Louvier and the rest of the crew were never seen again. The journal was recovered and stored in a private collection in Marseille, later acquired by a now-defunct museum archive. To this day, modern expeditions have been discouraged. The Nigerian Historical Commission officially lists the story as unverified cultural myth, though internal memos hint at restricted zones near the old grove. Satellite images from 2009 showed unexplained geometric clearings in the region, quickly removed from public databases. Some believe the treasure still lies beneath the earth. Others think the Odi never left and continue their watch in silence. One thing remains. No drum has ever echoed in that grove, and no man has ever returned once he stepped beyond the first stone.